Hi, good afternoon one and all. Welcome to today 10th biology. So this is the video about respiration, the energy producing system, the continuation of previous video, mechanism of respiration, afterwards transportation of gases exchange in the alveoli. These are the three concepts which already we were completed in the previous video. So next the continuation part of this video tells about why mitochondria is called as the powerhouse of the cell. Why mitochondria is called as the powerhouse of the cell? Why? Because the respiration which occurs in the cell level is called as a cellular respiration. Especially in eukaryotes, it occurs in the two stages. One is the glycolysis, means breakdown of glucose in the cytoplasm of eukaryotic cell. Afterwards, the 3 carbon, this is called as a pyruvate that should be entered into the mitochondria. So the energy which is present in the food material or glucose that should be liberated and it should be stored in the form of ATP, so that mitochondria is called as the powerhouse of the cell. Next, they are given to the types of respiration. The types of respiration flowchart is there. It is a very important concept of types of respiration. See this, the types of respiration. Actually, here they are asking the one question. ATP molecule gives rise to 7200 calories of energy. So each ATP molecule, actually the glycolysis process means breakdown of glucose in the cytoplasm of the cell. For example, this is the cell, this is the cytoplasm. So breakdown of glucose and it converted into 3 carbons like pyruvate. So this process is called as a glycolysis. For this process, in this glycolysis process, actually 2 ATPs are utilized. 2 ATPs are used up. So total 1 molecule of glucose is oxidized in presence of oxygen. 1 molecule of glucose. 1 molecule of glucose means, for example, see, this is a 1 molecule of glucose. 1 molecule of glucose is oxidized. Oxidized means in presence of oxygen, when glucose molecule is completely used up or burned, it can produce the total 40 ATPs. 40 ATPs. So I mean that 1 molecule of glucose gives rise to 40 ATP. But 2 ATPs were used up in the glycolysis process. 2 ATPs are used in the glycolysis process. So that the net ATPs are 38 ATP. Each ATP molecules gives rise to 7200 calories. 1 ATP molecule gives to 7200 calories. Next we can go to the answer this question. Do cells of alveoli or lungs also respire oxygen? Do cells of alveoli or lungs also require oxygen to carry out cellular respiration? Why not? Certainly all the cells of all the living organisms, they require oxygen because oxidation of the food materials and produce the energy for the metabolic activities. So certainly even the lung cells or the liver cells, whatever the cells, all the cells irrespective of our body, all the cells are requires oxygen to carry out this respiration process, oxidation of food materials. So it is a very essential process of all the living cells. Next, the flow chart of this is the flow chart of types of respiration. Actually, this is the information providing glucose. So glucose means 6 carbons. So 6 carbons are divided into 3 carbons plus 3 carbons that we called as pyruvate. 3 carbons plus 3 carbons. Glucose formula is C6H12O6. So 1 molecule of glucose is break down to 2 molecules of carbon compounds, that is called as a 3 carbon compound plus 3 carbon compound that we called as a pyruvate plus energy. This is called as a glycolysis. So glycolysis is the fundamental step in both aerobic and anaerobic respiration. In presence of oxygen is called as aerobic respiration. In absence in amount of low oxygen, the respiration is called as anaerobic respiration or fermentation. Regarding respiration, the amazing fact is actually we feel that most of the living world can respire in presence of oxygen, but surprisingly, in absence of oxygen also, some of the organisms they have to sustain and they survive. How? See, based on these phenomena, we can categorize the respiration mainly two types. I mean that availability of oxygen, majority of the organisms can respire and produce the energy. But in case of the low amount of oxygen or in case of absence of oxygen also, some of the organisms can survive in the nature. So we can see the clear difference between the types of respiration are obviously two types. Those are, one is aerobic respiration, second one is anaerobic respiration. The first one is aerobic respiration, the second one is anaerobic respiration. So coming to here, actually the glucose means C6H.O6 means carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. In presence of oxygen, glucose burns and it can give the energy that we call as a respiration. But here the thing is, in case of the cytoplasm, the glucose molecule break down. The glucose molecule, the 6 carbons are break down into 3 carbons. So 2 compounds of 3 carbon compounds is called as a pyruvate. That we call as a pyruvate. So this is the first intermediate substance in the glycolysis process. Means glucose breakdown means glycolysis. Glycolysis. Lysis means breakdown. Glucose means glucose breakdown. Obviously, through the glycolysis process, the 3 carbon compounds are formed. 3 carbon plus 3 carbon. This occurs in the cytoplasm. This is occurs in the cytoplasm. But there is no requirement of oxygen for this glycolysis process. There is no requirement of oxygen for this glycolysis process. Here. The next thing is the 3 carbons. One of the carbon is eliminated and it should be combined with the atmospheric oxygen. It should form to the carbon dioxide. Is it clear, students? Glucose means 6 carbons. So these 6 carbons are break down into 3 carbons. This is called as a glycolysis, which occurs in the cytoplasm. This doesn't require the oxygen. Only the glucose molecule is break down and 3 carbons, one of the carbon is eliminated in the form of carbon dioxide. So next, the remaining 2 carbons plus 2 carbons, 4 carbons are entered into the mitochondria. Here, the 4 carbons with association of one enzyme that is called as acetyl coenzyme A. This is the one of the helpful enzyme which enter into the mitochondria. Acetyl coenzyme A. With the help of acetyl coenzyme A, the 4 carbons means oxaloacetic acid which combines to citric acid cycle. This is called as C6. Means 4 carbons plus 2 carbons. This is called as again forms to the 6 carbons. So this entire phenomena occurs in the mitochondria for elementary particles. Elementary particles of mitochondria. So this is the exact site of mitochondria, so that the energy which is present in the glucose that should be stored in the form of ATP, so that the mitochondria is called as the powerhouse of the cell. See, presence of oxygen. Suppose the presence of oxygen, I mean that aerobic respiration, when these pyruvate, the oxygen is available to the pyruvate, it goes to the glycolysis is the first and foremost fundamental step in the both aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Next, Krebs cycle. That cycle which occurs in the mitochondria was discovered by Sir Hans Krebs. So on basis of, on behalf of that his name, the cycle was called as the Sir Hans Krebs cycle. Next, the last factor of this aerobic respiration, the third step in the aerobic respiration is electron transport chain reaction. Here the energy should be transferred in the form of electrons. So this is called as a electron transport chain reaction. So once again I repeat, in presence of oxygen, the respiration takes place in majority of the living organisms. So such type of respiration is called as aerobic respiration. These aerobic respiration occurs in the 3 stages. The first one is glycolysis, which occurs in the cytoplasm. The intermediate compound of this glycolysis is a pyruvate. Next, these pyruvate enter into mitochondria in presence of acetyl coenzyme A. With the help of acetyl coenzyme A, there the elementary particles of mitochondria combined with these oxygen to the glucose and it can be release the energy in the form of ATP, cellular currency or energy currency. It should be stored in the form of ATP, so that ATP, these mitochondria is called as the powerhouse of the cell. So this was explained by Krebs. So this cycle is called as a Krebs cycle, are also called as citric acid cycle. Next, the last step of this aerobic respiration is called as electron transport chain reaction. Electron transport chain reaction in the sense the energy particles like phosphate, ATP, the energy molecules are transformed to that a chain reaction. A chain reaction for internal activities, internal metabolic activities. So, for example, see carbon dioxide plus water plus energy. I mean that these are the end products of aerobic respiration. C6H12 O6 plus O2 means when the oxygen is added to glucose, what are the end products are released? Carbon dioxide is the end product and water vapor is the end product. Main product is energy. This energy is high amount of energy is released in the aerobic respiration. See, what is the major difference between aerobic and anaerobic? If one molecule of glucose, see, one molecule of glucose is a breakdown of in presence of oxygen, in presence of aerobic respiration, it gives 686 kilocalories of energy. One molecule of glucose in presence of oxygen. If oxygen is available to the breakdown of glucose, it gives 686 kilocalories of energy. If suppose we can go to that anaerobic respiration means there is no oxygen is available, only the pyruvate goes to that fermentation process. Pyruvate goes to fermentation process. So the low amount of energy, I mean that only 56 kilocalories of energy is liberated or released during the anaerobic respiration. Here one molecule of glucose gives to 686 kilocalories, but here one molecule of glucose gives to only 56 kilocalories. So there is a huge difference of energy difference between the availability of oxygen and non-availability of oxygen. See, the second type of respiration is called as absence of oxygen or the very low amount of oxygen. Absence of oxygen is a low amount of oxygen. So this is called as anaerobic respiration. It is a special kind of respiration which occurs in the bacteria and yeast. So in case of bacteria they forms the lactic acid, accumulation of the lactic acid, and they release the some little amount of energy. Whereas coming to the yeast, through this yeast cells by the fermentation process, they produce the ethanol as a byproduct. Apart from that, carbon dioxide and energy. So, in case of aerobic and anaerobic, the end products are energy is the main product, byproducts are carbon dioxide and ethanol in the yeast, energy, lactic acid is the byproduct. Whereas coming to the aerobic respiration, carbon dioxide and water vapor is the byproducts apart from that energy. So, this flowchart explains about the detailed information of types of respiration. Thank you, children. We continue the next video.